We've had some really heavy topics.
We did, yeah. So we're going to be talking about peace today. We figured we had a lot going on last month, so you found us on March the 12th when we're going to be talking about finding peace in mental health, peace of mind, suicide recovery, and why peace at all costs fails. That is the full title for episode 348,
Mm.
where we usually have a panel of therapists. I guess we got a off track, man. Victoria and Casey, they got stuff going on, so we just get Mr. John Pope and myself. And Neil, if you feel like joining in, you pop up anytime you want, as
Well,
always.
I think he would be most welcome.
Always, always. We
Yeah.
got Neil behind the curtains, though. Usually is what he does.
Okay.
All right, if you're finding us for the first time on this platform, we usually fire up about 6:15 to 6:30 on Thursdays. That is a great way to join us on YouTube Lives. We develop insights, provide them, blow up stereotypes and myths, usually with a panel of therapists, personal time in your car or at home, but understand it's not the delivery of therapy services in any way. Um,
No,
we
so
have,
there's no advice.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just not
John, you give
this.
excellent advice, though. I got to be honest with you.
Well, thank you. Well, you do too, man. So I guess it's
I stumped you on that one, didn't I?
we're not doing therapy.
We are
Okay.
not doing therapy services of any kind. No. What else do I say, John? The
Five
you haven't
star
you haven't
rating.
had your 5 star jump for a little while, man.
Yeah, we
I
need
know.
to definitely whatever podcast or provider that you get on, uh, please rate us with 5 stars.
I mean, you really need to. We need to work on this therapeutically. I feel like you might take that too personally.
Yeah, I do. I'm in competition.
And what happens to the competitive spirit when we do the shrink rack up?
It just kills me. The shrink. I
Confused.
that just drives my anxiety level all the way up to the limits. So,
All right, listen. We are licensed clinical therapists doing real clinical work every day, and this is where we talk about what actually helps. So this is the human emotional experience, which we really do endeavor to figure out together with you. That's our deal. We don't always have answers. We don't always have perfect advice, but we have a lot of knowledge in this platform that we offer you. So we do ask you to share this with a friend. A great way to do that is if you hear an episode that really kind of clamors in your mind that would be helpful to somebody, shoot a share button. That really
mhm.
makes it that they will listen because you referred that to them. Please help us grow so we can help more people. This is a topic that I really
The
was
more you know, the more you grow.
absolutely.
So
Um, yeah, that was random. Wait, what?
no, you rhymed, and so I joined in, and I said, well, that's a good way of remembering that is that the more that we know and experience and through a therapist's eyes, the more we grow.
It makes sense. All of a sudden, it makes sense. I'm introducing this topic though, John. So we had a heavy month last month.
Hmm.
Um, we talked about emotional abuse,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
then our panel talked about emotional neglect. And then, man, I don't know if you got a chance to check it out. We had an amazing interview Neil and I did with Dr. John King on male sexual abuse, and I know that strikes
Mhm.
your heart. We've talked about it on the show before, and
Yeah.
not a lot of platforms even mention it as a thing,
No, not at
right?
all. Yeah.
And so he shared his powerful, powerful story about, you know, male sexual abuse. And then I guess we continued in March, Neil, because we published part two, you know, in the first week of March, and now we're setting this up to kind of recover, man. John, we need some
Okay.
recovery. So peace be with you, Mr. John
Uh,
Pope.
that's right. Peace I leave with you. Yeah.
Well, I thought
Peace I
you're
give you.
so in
Pardon?
Catholicism, your pastorship is supposed to say, and also with you.
You. Right. Well, I was quoting from John when Jesus appears to the disciples in the upper room,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. Well, I missed that one, man. We're not clicking in sync yet, John. We
I
gotta
hadn't done this for a while. So
we, we
thank
gotta get our mojo back.
you. Peace be with you and also with you.
And
Yes.
also with you. You only gotta
Right.
say one of them, brother. Wait a minute. Let's do this right now. Now we gotta knock this out. Who's going first and who's going second? Please. We
I'll
gotta
go
move.
second.
Okay. Hey, John. Peace be with you.
And also with you.
Yeah.
Pace bonum.
Pati Bono, he adds in. What does that even
Bonum.
mean?
Yeah. Means peace. A good peace.
Good peace. Okay.
Okay.
You're
Latin.
you're
Yeah.
super smart, aren't you?
Yes. No, I'm not. I just lived so long.
So
That's
that's a good point.
yeah.
So listen, on the show we give you three questions to think about as we go through the show. So finding peace in mental health, peace of mind, suicide recovery, and why peace at all costs fails. So we have a lot to cover in all of that. The three questions are: what does peace actually mean when someone is struggling with mental health or suicidal thoughts? The second question is: peace something we achieve, something we protect, or something we learn? And then thirdly, why do people sometimes chase peace in ways that actually destroy it?
Mm,
The third one is provocative. The
hmm.
first one is kind of like, okay, gets us going. But, John, I want to ask you, is peace something that we achieve, something we protect, or something that we learn? Because there's a lot to this word peace. What
I'm
do you
going to
think?
go back to ancient wisdom
Okay.
a bit, okay? In terms of, and we're products of the Western Greek thought, but we're also, because of our Judeo-Christian background, we're also products of that understanding of peace. There's two different understandings of peace. And in the Greek world, the ancient Greek world, peace was a static thing. It's like a renic peace.
It's
The
static,
word
as in like stable,
static,
solid, unchanging.
stable, doesn't change. When we all get to heaven, we're all going to be on clouds and we're going to be playing harps, and nothing's going to change.
Love
Okay.
that.
All
Maybe
right.
not.
Maybe not. Uh,
Ah,
the ancient Hebrews said peace is a process, and it continues on, and it continues on forever. In other words, we're always achieving some peace, and actually that is more comforting because you don't if you don't reach it necessarily at an end point, like at the end, um, you will be continuing on and coming together and developing and integrating. So you may have peace at a moment, but it will also be a different time in the future where you will start having even more peace. Okay, so it's a process.
okay. I'm following you, but that's deep.
Yeah, it is. I think so. So I think it's healthier to not have a stable but stagnant peace, but rather a peace that's dynamic and growing and continues on for eternity.
It's interesting. So, in the way of that question goes, is that something that we achieve, something we protect, or something that we learn? I mean, we don't achieve it, then you would say, because you don't want to just arrive at a place that's
We're
static.
achieving it. We are achieving it, but we don't.
Indeed.
Yeah, but we don't achieve it. You see, that's the limitations of English. Our language is that if you go back and you go to more of the ancient languages, it goes into a process of becoming. Jesus says, "Be ye perfect, like the Father in heaven is perfect." Okay, it means becoming perfect, and so you're becoming in peace, and so that's part of the process. I didn't mean to go off in that.
No, it's good. It's really good because I think this is a it's a topic that it's interesting because I chose this as a follow up from the heavy shows that we did, right?
Uh-huh.
And I did that on purpose because there's just so much that goes into emotional abuse, emotional neglect, and then sexual abuse, and the heavy topics that we had. And you know as well as I do, John, all the things that we talk about in, our day-to-day work with therapy, that 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 people look for, these affirming, these comfortable spaces, recovery in a lot of ways
Be a
related
safe spot,
a safe
as
spot.
a
But
safety
I think it's
harbor.
misunderstood,
Yeah,
greatly misunderstood. So, I mean,
yeah,
you look at these language, you mentioned limitations of our language, peace of mind.
uh-huh,
We started with and I did that on purpose. Thank you for trying to play along. The peace be with you, and
uh-huh.
also with you, right?
And
That
also,
something that's in the Catholic faith that I grew up as a kid with.
but that means also a reciprocal thing, and so you bestow peace,
Yep,
but you also receive it, and so it's in relationship, it's in
it's relational.
fellowship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're jumping on that because you know that and you can experience that. I don't think that people realize that a lot. But
Hmm.
that's part of the points that we want to make today. But to go on, right? Like, rest in peace. We use these phrases, keeping
Hmm.
the peace, making peace with someone or something. We used to have the peace pipe, you know?
Yeah.
Remember the peace pipe?
But you're making peace, which is different than a static. So that involves being able to be in a relationship with somebody and you're actively pursuing it.
We
And
do a
you
peace
cannot,
offering.
right.
We
And
have
you
a peace
cannot,
treaty,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I am doing a little foreshadowing. This is my own phrase that I think I created. Sometimes I create things, John, and somebody's already created it. But so,
Mhm.
um, peace at all costs is no peace at all.
Right.
And we'll
Wow.
come back to that towards the end of the storm, towards the end of the show. But yeah, so okay, John, what is peace then? I don't understand.
Mhm.
Somebody might be saying, what is peace?
I, th- I think like in family counseling and couples counseling, it is a dynamic in which there are boundaries that move back and forth. And so you want to try to achieve an equilibrium of peace, of mutual um, acceptance of one another and willing to. So I'm putting it in the context of a relationship is that there's again that radical acceptance of the relationship, and and if you're in a relationship where you're putting everything in 200%, and the other person is just going through the motions,
Oh man, that doesn't work.
there's no
That.
peace, there's no relationship.
I
Yeah,
can tell you that.
yeah. So
That's hard.
it is hard. Yeah. So
Here's a big news flash or a big
okay.
kind of flow out. And I wouldn't really know how I would have answered that, John,
Hmm.
myself, because it's a little bit of an elusive idea. What is peace really? We use it all the time. I just said all these phrases and stuff. I think I like the idea of peace. It seems soothing. It seems comforting. I want to be peaceful, you know? But that I don't know if we really understand, because I want to be happy also. I want to be calm. Isn't that what peace is?
Hmm.
Rest in peace. I want to be calm. I want to be happy. I want to be comfortable.
You want to be
There,
dead?
there's no, I don't want to be dead. Definitely don't want to be dead yet. Although I
Yeah.
don't want to live forever. That's for dang sure.
My understanding of peace when I was 17 years old and seeing the peace demonstrations,
Okay.
and we had a peace demonstration at our high school, Manatee High School, yay! And it was we were very idealistic, and we said there shouldn't be any violence or anything of that sort, and all that. So we kind of tried to emulate Dr. Martin Luther King's um, peace, his
Yeah, but
concept of peace.
that I guess right.
But my concept of peace has changed a lot in 50 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How so?
I was so disappointed that things got violent. Of course, I would be disappointed today with that, obviously. But it's kind of given me pause to think about that. Peace is the definition of peace. Uh, People have in this country 230 million different, 330 different million um, concepts of peace. And peace is not, sometimes our concepts of peace are naive. And when I was 17 years old, I had a lot of shouldhoods about peace.
Should hoods?
Shouldhoods, yeah,
Okay.
SHOUDLDS, yeah,
I know where you're coming from.
yeah, yeah. And it was idealistic, and I was looking through rose-colored glasses. And why can't we not just get along?
Right. Right. Well,
It,
you're into the relational thing a lot, and I think there's a lot to that, and that's definitely a part of peace. First of all, we have a YouTube comment, Carolyn. You're absolutely right. She says first of all, is peace something we achieve, something we protect, or something we learn? And she says all three. And I think
mhm,
what? It's an excellent answer because it
I
really
think so
can come
too.
out to
Yeah.
being all three. you know? But in my big thing when we think of peace of mind, peace be with you, rest in peace, keeping the peace, making peace with something that's engaging, there's inner peace, you offering peace, peace treaty so that we engage. I feel like a lot of peace is really I came across this with the show prep. Otherwise, like I said before, I wouldn't have really realized it this way. Is it not maybe the end of
Mhm.
internal conflict? Think about that.
Okay.
Peace.
Peace.
Don't be
That
in
means
conflict internally.
okay. So there's an aspect of Zen in that. Of yeah, and that is that you observe. Uh, you become a non-anxious presence for yourself, and you can
Right.
actually. Does that
Think
make
about
sense?
that. Go further with the idea of a non-anxious presence is a string of words that we use nowadays.
Uh-huh.
Peace being the lack of internal conflict. You're talking a lot about the relational, but go further with
No, I'm talking
non-anxious
about
presence.
individual that you're going to be non-anxious presence for yourself. And
Okay.
so there could be the radical self-acceptance of yourself and said, I'm in a process of becoming. And so I can step outside of the turmoil and the going from one extreme to the other. And I can actually say, I can accept myself for that way. Hence comes as a result of that peace, inner peace.
Well, okay, yeah, I follow all that. But I would ask you, how do you offer something that you don't have? The relational aspects of peace, I agree with you in a lot of ways. Well, when I got to really deeply thinking about this, peace being all three of those things, right?
Mhm.
Something that I
Yeah,
protect internally to myself,
yeah, yeah.
something that
Well, I think that's
I
key
learn,
that you have to do that.
right?
Yeah,
Something that I
yeah.
learn inside learning. And then I achieve, I arrive, maybe not statically, like you said earlier, but I arrive internally. Now I can relationally go in with other people. And I didn't think about it, but I love your comment there with a non-anxious presence. That's peace. That's
Peace.
peace.
That's right. Yeah. And the thing is, I was talking to a man today. He was actually a psychologist, and he had a stroke, and it affected the Boca area, Boca's brain, the aspect that governs speech.
Like I was gonna say,
And
what is Boca in the brain, man? I know Boca
okay,
Raton, I know
yeah,
Boca Rice, I know
yeah,
Boca.
it's spelled differently, but it's an Italian guy. But anyway, he died a long time ago in the 19th century. But the point was that he said only way that he got his ability to speak, because that controls your speech center,
Okay.
was that he had this strong volitional urge to make it, to be able to speak. And so even though he couldn't speak, he was able to figure out a way to communicate. And I'm saying that this is so, in order to achieve inner peace, one has to basically be very intentional about it. And it is a part of one's will, I think. So, I don't know. What do you think?
No,
So,
I absolutely. I like.
yeah.
I was just connecting with you on this idea of yeah. I mean, the internal part. Look, I I think about this from a therapy perspective, and
Uh-huh.
you think like people want to come to therapy to feel happy, and that's what you hear, like
Mhm.
marital counseling. I wasn't happy, so I went on.
Oh,
Like,
God.
or
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
don't lose it, John. I know, right?
Uh,
Or I just, I want to be well. People kind of do that, and I love that when people are talking about. I just want to feel, more whole, or grow and learn skills or what have you and whatnot. I think many people enter therapy maybe not even realizing it because they're seeking happiness in these other things, but what they're actually really kind of getting at, I think, is peace.
mhm.
You know, I
Inner
mean,
peace.
inner peace, John. People are feeling desperate. They're
Yeah.
feeling in a state of chaos. They're
Yeah.
feeling overwhelmed. It's like
Yeah.
a war that's just grabbing on internally, you know, and what we're talking about after we hit horrible experiences of sexual violence against us
Hmm.
or emotional neglect, which is horrible,
Hmm.
emotional abuse and physical abuse. We want relief from this chaos, not even necessarily the offender. We want relief from that too
Yeah.
in domestic violence. But the hard feelings that just beat us up, the pain, the internal suffering, that's
Yeah.
what peace is about, getting
Can
out.
you have peace and still have suffering, experience suffering?
Probably, probably, yeah,
Yeah. Because
yeah.
there was,
Go ahead
yeah.
more with that. I think you're right.
No, no, I was, I got to say, the reason why this is right up my alley today is because I had just finished an audiobook on death and dying in various cultures and religions in the world and practices. And
Okay.
in terms of, and there's a sense that when a person was, people's fear of dying, for example, is basically the idea that uh, one is very anxious about the cessation of existence, the extinguishing of existence, and or the pain that is associated with dying. And so one finds that inner peace is by stepping outside of oneself and seeing that and observing that as a process and saying, "Oh, I'm on for the ride. I'm doing this." It's like Kubler Ross in the various stages of death and dying. And though we know that they don't happen all at once or have to be sequential necessarily, but the idea is that there's ultimate acceptance of that, and
That's
that
the word.
one gets that ability to have peace.
It's awesome, right? Because I fast forwarded. Usually, I have extra content for all the shows that we get to, and I never really get to it all,
Uh-huh.
just because we
Yeah.
get into awesome conversations. But a lot of what I don't get to is my book quotes and stuff. Chapter 11, man, and I'm excited about saying this out loud in this part of the show because it fits perfectly. You're talking about, and you even said the word accepting. So,
Mhm.
chapter 11 on my Through a Therapist Eyes, re-understanding your emotions and becoming your best self, through a therapist's eyes. Go check it out. You too can own the book,
Yeah.
John. Anyway,
Mhm.
chapter 11 is accepting things as part of your emotional growth. That's the chapter title.
That gives
Accepting.
you peace.
Yeah, it gives you peace.
So
Exactly.
you're piecing. You're
Right.
peacemaking.
peacemaking, peace protecting, peace developing,
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you
You're
just
dev-
simply accept things. I mean, things that you cannot control, you might as well accept, right? Or else
right.
you can see on YouTube, I'm banging my head into the microphone because I can't
Yeah.
control things, and you can just continue banging your head into the proverbial wall, and you'll lose your mind. That's
It's just,
maddening. It's
yeah.
chaos. It's non-peaceful, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love what you're saying. Is that the internal conflict? Sometimes if we just here's another one. Let go. Let go of things that you can't control, or things that hurt you, or things that you're resenting. Let go of your anger. John, what's the result when we do those things?
You let go. You see yourself in proper perspective in the world and in the universe. You
And you
have a
have
peace.
peace.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
calm. It's so I don't know. I don't think even to be honest with you, John, I don't know. Have you lived in peace a lot?
Mhm.
I thought I did.
Yeah. Well, see, it's growth. And that's what I was bringing out. My concept of peace when I was 17 is very different than my concept of peace when I first got married, uh, when I had 3 children,
Yeah.
when my wife got deathly ill and had multiple surgeries and thought she was going to die and had a crisis of faith. And yet there was that sense that, you know, I'm on it for the ride. I'm in it for the long haul. I'm committed. And there was peace, more peace. And
Acceptance.
acceptance, yeah, acceptance that you're part, that there's a greater purpose, maybe. And that's how I understood it, you know?
There's a lot to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I said, I thought that I lived a lot of my life in peace, and the more that I think about it, the more that I wonder. That internal battle. I'm sure that I've
Uh-huh.
fallen into the trap
Yeah.
like many humans.
I thank God I don't have the peace that I had when I was 17.
Okay, what do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to go through that. I don't want to go through just um, having really blinders and just seeing what I wanted to see. It's much better to have a broader understanding of peace and acceptance of other people. And again, I'm sorry, I'm going to relationships, but that's,
Don't apologize.
but internally, um, you make peace with oneself that there is, um, when, for example, I hurt somebody's feelings, or I thought I was really right and I wanted my way or the highway, or something like that. Then I felt guilty afterwards, and and I'm going through this, and I didn't want to apologize or anything like that. Every time I apologized, or every time that I tried to rebuild something, I got more peace.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's
It's funny. I was just listening to you, and I was thinking, here's a real example of peace that I was impressed with. And it does go along with the idea of the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, especially, but also the courage to change the things that I can, because that also gives peace to understand that I can change things, and then the wisdom to know the difference. There's a guy, El Kappa. He would climb El Kappa. I forget the name of the documentary. I just recently rewatched some of it. So it was this guy that's free climbing, freewheeling, something
yeah.
like that is the title.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, he climbs rock faces, John, and he'll just climb them without ropes. It's free climbing,
Okay, now
right?
there's parts of my anatomy that are just like,
Yeah,
ah, yeah,
trippy, because you're going up a
trippy.
freaking mountain and you don't have any
Yeah,
gear, you
yeah,
know. And but this is what he did, and it was just like wow. And he's world renowned for it. He climbed El Kappa. which is a really massive cliff
Is
somewhere
that the
out.
one in Yosemite, or
It's out west. Yeah, of course, it's
it's
in the
out
Rockies.
west? Yeah, yeah, big
But I heard
rock
an
face.
interview, John. This is the
Uh-huh,
demonstration of peace and how wonderful this must feel, because his wife was interviewed, and she asked, like, why why does he do this? She's like, I don't know. It's his passion. It's what he's
mhm,
always been geared into. And the interviewer stopped and then asked the wife, like, well, have you? I mean, like, do you ever worry about him? Like, he could die. You
uh-huh,
ever ask him, like, not to do that? And you know what she said? She said, no,
uh-huh.
I would never do that. It's not my job to change him. I worry about him falling and all of the other, but I also understand that he needs to live his life, and to want him to do something different is not it's not about me. It's about loving and supporting him. That's peace.
Yeah.
There's no conflict. I want him to do it. I don't want him to do it. I want him to do it. Can I tell him not to do it? I shouldn't tell him what not to do.
So this piece, unpeace, would be would
Trying to
be
control him, trying to tell him what
that
to
was the
do.
word I was looking for. Control. Yeah.
Control. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like, how many marital conversations, how many parenting situations, how many times with politics, how many
Uh-huh.
decisions do we strife over? How much anxiety do we worry with? John, I really did. I thought I had a healthy lifestyle in a lot of ways. And even the more in
Yeah.
real time that I talk
Uh-huh.
about this, I'm kind of like, holy crap, I've been living unpeacefully this whole time.
Yeah.
It's so tough to really be in a state of non-conflict with yourself, with your thoughts, with what you worry about.
But
Peace.
that's a dynamic process that you're talking about. You're
Yeah.
describing that. Yeah. So you may have at your stage of development of your moral and spiritual and let's just say psychological development, you may have peace, a type of peace, but you're striving and aiming for more authentic peace, a
Deeper
more
peace.
lasting, deeper peace.
I
Yeah.
don't think you realized it, but you just transitioned us wonderfully well to the three
Oh,
levels of peace, right? So,
okay.
so think
Good.
about this. We have external peace. Life
Yeah.
circumstances feel stable. That's the peace I thought I was in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Marriage is
Yeah.
stable, kids are growing, business is okay, money's stable. It's like external peace, life circumstances, you know, feel secure. Secure is probably a good word. But external peace is fragile. Life
Mhm.
always disrupts it.
Mhm.
And then the second level, I came across this in show prep. You have an emotional piece. So the
Mhm.
nervous system is regulated. I think this is the internal conflict piece, right?
Right.
Emotional piece. You have no internal, everything. You're not worrying. You're not
Mhm.
ruminating. You're able to flow in life. You have flexibility, right? This is where therapy does much of our work. We
Yeah.
we really work with emotional peace. Oh, John, there's a third level. There's a
Yeah.
third level. Any idea?
That's essence of meaning, peace, right?
Existential peace.
Existential. Yeah.
This is where someone can say, look, I'm not perfect. Life's not perfect. There are real problems. This is where someone
Yeah.
can say, I'm not fighting stuff I can't control. I'm in a place of acceptance. I understand deeper meanings.
Mhm.
I am forgiveness full. People offend me, and I forgive multiple times over. I don't hold anger, compassion for other people, even when they've hurt me and harmed me. This existential peace
Uh-huh.
in what you talk about, John, is I think
Yeah.
what we strive towards.
Uh-huh.
Did we just put some meat on the bone?
Yeah, I think so. I was just thinking, I just had an experience yesterday where I lost my existential peace. That's
Oh boy,
yeah.
what
I
happened
had
to
I
John's
actually
existential peace? Tune in
yeah
next week.
yeah
We will
yeah.
talk.
I missed I was trying to merge. I was going to see my parents, and I kind of merged. Tried to. I saw that I had to turn left, and I didn't want to do that, and so I tried to merge right.
Okay.
And the guy right behind me, an old guy, just and he and his wife, they were in this old truck, beat up truck, and he laid on the horn over and over and over and
Wow.
again. And I said, I love Jesus. I love him.
You can be honest, John. John,
So,
John, did you say a curse word?
oh no, I shot a bird. I had done that.
You non-verbally said a curse word.
Yeah, I did.
I love it.
And I was so upset. I said, well, and my heart was racing and all of that. And then the person behind me, or the person beside me, said, let me in. And I waved, and peace returned.
Peace returned.
Peace returned. But you can lose it.
You can lose it is the point, right?
Right, but you can go back to it. That's just like this.
Listen,
Yeah,
people don't live in peace. It's may peace be with you for moments at a
and
time.
with you, yeah,
Yeah, thank you. We're finally
and
getting corrected. Yeah, I'm glad you're pointing that out. We can lose it and then regain it. That's why we want to protect it.
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
That is exactly why you want to protect it. And then so an existential peace is that you can reflect on that, and you can say, this is something that I want to preserve. I want to enlarge and continue to grow, and make that peace, that existential peace, not just a little part of you,
right.
but engulf you.
Ooh, now you just said a big word, engulf. That sounds
And,
scary to our engulfment insecure folks in the EFT model,
yeah.
right?
Yes, it does.
Like, whoa! But it's
That means,
okay.
yeah,
Can it be okay? Does that represent a little bit of internal conflict? I don't wanna be overrun, I don't wanna be overwhelmed, don't control me, don't tread on me, all these thoughts, right? But if
right,
you let go of that fight, peace can engulf you, and that's
right,
a good engulfment. It envelops you.
right.
You
I
get
went to
surrounded by. Yeah. I'm sorry.
years ago, and I know I tend to go religious and all that, but I was at a retreat many years ago, and we did exercises, religious retreat, and it was an Episcopal priest that led it, and there was a sense that we got in such a state through through discernment and guidance and participation, uh, intentional, where we allowed the peace to engulf us. And um, I still have a memory of that because I came off the mountain, basically a spiritual high. And I did lose it at times, but other times I remembered what it was like, and I went back. And you can always go back.
Interesting, yeah. When you
Yeah,
reflect and when you engage. It's interesting that you just said that. Like, I haven't done a lot with it, John, but I came across, some trainings and learned a little bit about hypnosis. I'm sure you probably know similarly.
yeah,
So in a trance state, that's what happens in hypnotherapy and whatnot. You go into trance, not some weird, crazy, dreamy state.
yeah, yeah.
You're
No Senegali or anything. No
yeah,
Rasputin stuff.
you're in a calm state, you're in a state of mind where you access your subconsciously a whole lot
Uh-huh.
easier or whatever, but it's kinda hard to go into a trance state at first until you learn how to do it, I understand. But
Yeah.
interestingly enough, I remember kinda going into a trance state with the guy that was training me, and I
Hmm.
kinda pulled back out of it, I was really bummed, I was like, "Ah, he stopped," like, I wanted to do it. But then I started to describe the story
Hmm.
and the instructor, Dr. Neil Newfield, you know what he was doing, don't you? He was ready to induct me into
Right,
it because when you relive, when you recount, you re-emerge into a hypnotic state
right.
exactly like peace. Now,
That's right.
interestingly enough, as a young man, I didn't want to lose control, so I stopped at the trance state. I'm like, "Oh, I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. No, no, no." He's like, "Would it be so bad?" I was like, "Ah," because it's surrender, isn't it? Is another word.
Yeah. Surrender. Yeah.
How
It's
much can
being
we
washed
surrender?
over, inundated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Liquid
allow.
love is how I described it. Describe it. And like it's golden. It's like being a libation, like being poured over with golden oil that's just warm and so
Do
life affirming.
do we allow that to happen? I mean, I think there's so much resistance, and my newest favorite topic that is the biggest challenge mankind in the history of mankind has faced. We have so much resistance because we have so much tension,
Hmm.
so much mental fragmentation.
Hmm.
The rapid development of technology fragments the hell out of us.
Right.
We can't meditate. My God, I can barely. People could barely focus on a show for more than a half hour.
Right.
You know, I do a 1, 5, and 10-year plan. Thought leaders tell me, "Oh no, people can't think 10 years from now. It's a 1, 3, and 5-year plan. That's all people can handle." I reject that.
Hmm.
By the way, it's nonsense. We need to be careful about keeping ourselves in a place of internal acceptance so that we can achieve moments at least or periods of time where we can just be in peace. That's
I,
a bit of a goal.
yeah. I think that's part of this is that also means living, being able individually, internally, to let go of shame and guilt that where you beat the crap, an unforgiveness of yourself, where you beat the crap
Mm,
out of yourself, and that you have to say, okay, just accept it. Uh, that this is something that you yourself cannot perfect. It's almost something that is beyond self, but by letting go of it, you actually do find that self acceptance.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Let me
mean,
change.
it's
Let me switch gears on us,
paradox,
John.
paradox. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me switch gears for a minute and say let's talk about a phrase that came to my mind many years ago. Honestly, before I wrote the book, which by the way, John, you too can own through a therapist's eyes, re-understanding
Okay.
emotions and becoming your best self. How did I do?
Exactly. Wonderful book.
How did I do? Did I do all right there?
You outstanding. You did, and you're repeating it 7 times. Okay,
Through a
and you
Therapist's
repeat the
Eyes has an
narrative.
awesome book. Seriously
Yeah.
though, one of the titles in there, one of the phrases. Honestly, I think it's a title. If it's not, it should have been. It may be in the revisions of this project. Um, Peace at all costs is no peace at all.
Yeah.
Okay, I said that in the top of the show, and I can tell you had a little bit of a reaction. What does that mean to you? What does that do in your spirit when you hear that phrase? Peace at all costs is no peace at all.
And you put an S on it, didn't you?
Yeah.
Cost. Yeah. In other words, if you try to force it and you try to control it, it's ephemeral. It slips through your fingers. And so you may say, this is what your concept of peace is. And as soon as you try to grasp it or mold it or control it, it disappears. And so peace is something that the part of peace is that um, you let go of the need of controlling it. It comes to you and it's a gift, and you accept it without any type of of riders on it or any type of add-ons. It's something that you see and you accept it. I guess when you're in, let's say you're with a loved one and you are in a conflict with that loved one,
Yes.
and you want to say, okay, I'm going to make this work, and I'm going to keep making it work. I'll do whatever I can to make it work, and I would go to hell and back to make it work. And the problem would be,
Because hold
but
on,
that,
that's peace at all costs. And the
yeah,
problem would be,
that you actually would deny the gift of real peace, and that is that, and there's a possibility that your concept of peace, that person may not want to reconcile with you, and you can never do it, and you have to let go, and then you have to find, and what you're left with it once you let go is really an inner peace and a calm that is authentic and is dynamic and is growing.
boy, you did a lot more with that than I thought.
I'm
That's
sorry.
no, that's an awesome progression. You're right on point with it, and it's actually, I was listening to you, and yeah, I wasn't thinking at first, and then in the middle, I was like, yeah, we can join that together, and then as you went on, I'm like, oh yeah, that's absolutely it. It's just so poetically described by you, John. Thank you for that because I really created that line in my mind in therapy with people, and I feel like it speaks to our third question of what you're thinking about as we talk today, right? Like, why do people sometimes chase peace in ways that actually destroy it? And you just masterfully described, you know, the idea of what happens when we want peace and we chase it, but we do things that actually conversely destroy it, you
Yeah.
know? And so my original idea with this is like, peace at all costs, meaning, like people that are codependent. Like you're
Yeah.
trying to make somebody else okay. Like you can't do
Uh-huh.
that. I don't want to have conflict, so I shove my feelings aside or compartmentalize them and just make believe I have peace by agreeing with everything you say. That's not peaceful, you know. Or how many
Yeah.
ways can we do this? Like suppressing your emotion.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to have the difficult conversation. Or I'm so emotional and I can't even stand you anymore. I feel numb. People pleasing all over the place.
Oh, and I do
And
that.
and
That's been a tendency for me because,
it's not
you know,
peaceful.
it's not peaceful. There's no peace in that. I and in some ways, having all this crap that happened to
Yeah.
me in my long life has been actually a very good thing. And that has given me a greater sense of peace than I had before. And part of it is having to forgive people that have absolutely no ability to self reflect or say I'm sorry or whatever. And instead of insisting that I have to get an apology or something like that,
Yeah.
let it go. Let it go.
Let it go. What I thought you were gonna say is I've had to forgive people that don't deserve to be forgiven.
Yeah. Well,
Isn't that the
yeah,
way a lot of people think though?
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't work, people.
Yeah, that's
I mean, I'm
that's
telling you, like that doesn't work. The listener, you have to change the way that you look at this. You
yeah.
can't keep on giving your peace away. That's what you do when you go silent. That's what you do when you avoid hard conversations. That's what you do when you shut down or numb out or drug out. You're literally you feel like you're creating a non-conflict state, but you're not developing. You're giving your peace away. You're not
Mhm.
developing the internal peace. We're talking about, and those are real practical measures that we just mentioned.
Yeah, and I would also caution because there's you can see it on some of the influencers or uh, or you could see it. Well, you're I need to confront you. You need to be able to know this,
Oh,
and they don't
golly.
do it in
Yeah.
love or anything
Nut
like that. If
nuts.
you don't do it with a sense of humility and love, then that person probably is not going to accept what you give to them, even in love and all of that. But at the same time, you don't have to let it tie you up and bound you. and then you can have your own peace. And you guard your peace, you keep your peace, you make your peace for yourself. And it's not selfish, it's abundant, it's extravagant, but it's
John, this
it
is a good time for our segment. I don't
okay.
know if you need to grab your notes and look at the notes section on the iPad.
Uh-oh.
We do practical questions.
Oh God.
This is
All right.
John, you're a therapist. You do this all day long. You can come up with practical questions to help people. This is
Okay.
where we talk to you, the listener. We kind of reach through the computer screen, the phone there. We reach through your little speakers and we're talking to you by asking practical questions to kind of give you an idea, as we've talked about this today, what we're looking for.
Mhm. Yeah.
By the way, then we want to talk a little bit about suicide before we get off here. I know, right? Suicide? Yes.
Right.
Yes, we
Yes.
do. So, practical question I have for you is that when you say that you want peace, like we've talked about how you can destroy peace in these ways that we just talked a little bit practical about. There oftentimes I say I want to have peace, but I want to say, what are you maybe trying to escape? Because there's something that's going on that you haven't accepted, something that you might be fighting about, something that you might be upset about, something that's causing your peace to be given away or maybe robbed from you. But when you say that you want to have peace, I am curious, what might you be trying to escape? John, you might have a practical question.
Is there something in my life that I'm avoiding that is preventing peace? And I think about that because my nature is such that in my own experience, I will avoid if I don't want to step on toes. I want to not confront or not confront, but challenge. And sometimes uh, about myself. And am I avoiding looking at something? And in order to achieve a sense of inner peace, of self acceptance, is to be able to look within oneself and say, here I am, warts and all. I've and it's okay because I am a student of life. I am participating in it. That I can go in, and if I don't succeed the first time, when I avoid something about my personality that I don't like necessarily think is efficacious, I can just go back and try it again and keep working at it and have patience with myself and immense acceptance of the process. And I think that way I can stop avoiding and instead of being overwhelmed, begin a process of that acceptance that we all need, that I need to become a better person or a more complete person.
Yeah, thank you, John. I like this practical question to the listener segment that we've started
This
because you
isn't
know
as
what?
bad as the last one.
It's what we do in sessions, John.
Yeah, I know. We do it in session.
You know what I mean? I mean, we really
Yeah.
ask people these types of questions and go about it with those types of explanations. So if you're listening to the show and wondering what therapy is like, we just tried to give you a little bit of a taste on a really powerful issue such as peace. But let's go on with the last segment that we want to talk about because it's a serious one, you know? I mean, we just we just spent the month of love, John, my birthday month of February, Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We talked
Yeah.
about emotional abuse. We talked
Yeah.
about emotional neglect and the horrors that physical trauma, such as sexual violence, perpetrated against you, especially men. And like, wow, the bottom line truth is that suicide is a big part of all those things.
Yeah.
Suicide is real. As a matter of fact, I learned something in that show, John, that I want to share with you. I
Okay.
might be able to teach you because John taught me that. Do you know the statistics of first responders are wicked high with their childhood sexual abuse experiences, and it
Huh.
draws them into being first responders.
I did not know that, but I'm not surprised
It
now
sounds
that I
it
think about it.
makes perfect
Yeah.
sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It
All of
does.
the adrenaline, especially police officer stuff. A lot of times
It's
there is
like PTSD.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It feeds into, right? So there is a high
Yeah.
percentage, and I honestly I did not know that. I thank John profusely, not John Pope, but John King, who was on our
King.
show, because
So he is the king, the king of all stuff. Yeah.
John is the king or the Pope. I don't know. Neil, oh my God, I just lost it. Yeah,
This
you're
is
right.
John King.
He
Yeah.
is the king and you're the Pope.
I am the
Um,
Pope.
the king, John King, taught us that honestly, and
Yeah.
it's something that I'll take with me for the rest of my career to be able to clue into that, to wonder, to be aware. Like you're a first responder, the statistics are really dangerous that you've had previous trauma, specifically and especially sexual trauma that cannot be talked about.
Hmm.
So we need to talk a little bit about what happens with suicide and how to get out of that because John, I don't I don't know, man. I don't know of many other more powerful descriptions of losing your peace than finding suicide as the only option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I would agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. And
It's the antithesis, which is a fancy way of saying, the opposites of feeling peaceful.
peace,
Peace. Yeah.
because
Here's
there's a nihilism. It is the absence of peace would be the suicidal
the potential reality of suicide.
right reality of suicide, because it says I would rather non-exist than to
Endure.
go through this pain
To endure.
anymore,
Yeah.
to
Here's
endure.
here's the thing that I want people to understand. Okay. There's a few lines that I have learned that cuts through a lot of the doubts or wonder. Like people will say all the time, John, to me, particularly family members, how could my brother have done this?
Mhm,
What was my mother thinking? I don't know why my friend ended their life. Well, here's what happens. They basically it's the antithesis of peace, right? They
mhm,
basically realize that they are in such great internal pain,
mhm,
terrible pain inside.
mhm,
And they know that they cannot continue living with this pain. Now, all of these are lies, by the way, but that's the
mhm,
first one. I'm in
mhm,
pain and I cannot continue to live with this pain. The second lie is
mhm.
that I have tried everything. That's a key word,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Key word. You can't
everything.
try everything, but I'm in internal pain. I cannot continue living this way. Secondly, I've tried everything to even lessen. I don't even want to get rid of. I just want to lessen. I just can't live in this level of pain. And I have not been successful doing that. Now, even though I've tried everything. So, thirdly, suicide is the only option
Mhm.
because of the logic of the
So,
combination of the first two
so it's a
lies.
logical fallacy, isn't it?
Complete
Yeah,
logical fallacy.
yeah,
Yeah, because it's not based on truth. But that's
yeah.
how people get there. It's a desperate feeling, John. People do not usually want to commit suicide. They don't want to take an action against themselves. It's not desirable.
Mhm,
They really fall into the trap of thinking it's the only option I have.
mhm.
This is it. There is nothing else.
Yeah.
That's when it really becomes dangerous.
That is no exit, and that's an existential concept.
Yeah,
I won't go in who talked about the no exit thing, but it's basically one. It's a construct that one makes, um, and it could be a number of factors, external factors, environmental, internal factors, that sort of thing. But you feel like you don't have any options, and so you have no way out.
right.
Period.
Yeah, the
And
most dangerous thing is when somebody is feeling this way. And if you're ever feeling this way, even an inkling of like this, do not remain alone.
yeah,
Don't do that. Surround
relationship,
yourself.
you got to have. That's,
Yes, sir.
yeah,
Speak it again.
yeah. You need you have someone that you can talk to and reach
Trust.
out to. Yeah, and they've made it very simple now. You can actually go and call a crisis line, and
988.
988. Just go right to it, and there's
Although that's
somebody
not a
that
suicide prevention hotline. Somebody told me that the
it's
other
a
day they thought
crisis.
it
It's a
was.
crisis. Yeah,
Yeah, you call 988 for any mental health reality. It is
yeah,
not just suicide. Yeah.
yeah.
I was actually
So
surprised when I heard that the other just the
yeah,
other
I
day I
was
heard that.
yeah. I think part of it is that one if one is if one reaches out, then there's hope. I think, in other words, but you have to reach out. That's the thing. You may think you have no other options, but you
Well,
can.
you reach out, but you find out that there's a switch. Here's a little bit of the switch. There's a shift that begins to happen. It isn't a pursuit of the pain to stop.
You're right.
This is going to sound crazy at first, but stay with me.
Uh-huh.
You talked about radical acceptance not too long ago. That is a part of the DBT program. That is a part of the borderline personality disorder. Heavy suicidal folks rely on as a specific skill to really recover. It's radical acceptance. You begin to actually accept
Mhm.
forms of or this pain that you experience. Then you but peace begins. You begin to reduce judgment of yourself. You increase connection with others. John's been talking about.
A bit hammering. Yeah.
You find meaning in this suffering. John, you talk about the crucible,
Uh-huh.
a crisis of faith, or in religious terms, or just like you're down and out. You've heard this expression. I'm just sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Uh-huh.
Okay, that's when you shift. That's when you
Yeah.
say, it's not that I just want the pain to stop. I want peace.
Yeah.
I want to escape from this never-ending attempt to control something I can't control, and I
Yeah.
actually accept the pain.
Yeah.
I'm not
The
going to judge
serenity
myself. I'm going to.
serenity prayer again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm hearing from this because I'm seeing a theme in our stuff, and maybe we're just they always talk about ministers, and there's always the minister only preaches one sermon with a lot of variations, and I'm thinking, yeah, maybe maybe it's a lot. Maybe it can be summed up with a serenity prayer, but there's a lot of flourishes and understandings and angles to see it. It's like a beautifully wrought crystal
Mm.
that you can see the different colors and spectrums as a result of light shining through it. And so you get all the nuances and shades. And maybe that's the sense that you can find peace is you don't have to just follow a recipe book. You can make your own peace. You can see it. You can tune yourself to it.
You create it.
You create it. You create your own peace.
I love that. Yeah.
But it's a
No one,
real
no one, no
thing.
one can do it for you either. Too is
Right.
probably another factor there.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, we need to get out of here, I think, John, and begin wrapping up. We arrive at your favorite segment of the show, the
Uh-huh.
shrink wrap up. This is when we have fun, sort of, reviewing the show, our topic today, and in a fun, friendly competition, Neil gets to determine who did the best shrink wrap up of Through a Therapist's Eyes, episode 348. Peace in mental health, peace of mind, suicide recovery, and why peace at all costs fails, generally speaking. John, you wanna go first with the shrink wrap up?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah, I think so. I think
Okay.
that that peace is something, inner peace is something that everyone can achieve uh, as long as they understand that it's dynamic, it's changing, it's growing, it's extravagant, it's beautiful, it's multicolored, multi-layered. It's something that, despite the barriers that one experiences and despite the hardships, actually not despite it, but because of this going through the process of life, one's peace, inner peace, is something that continues throughout one's life, and the goal is going throughout all of one's life and seeking it and accepting when it comes and as it comes, and that's all.
All right. All right. Listen, there's a lot of pain in the world. There's a lot of hurt that you have endured. More than likely in your life, you're like the rest of us. You felt broken. probably multiple times. That creates so much pain inside. That creates so much internal turmoil.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. This is why I love this show. This is why I love this episode, because you can get up, you can run, not from the fear, not from the pain. It's accepting. You can run towards this. So get up off your couch, get up out of your house, get out of your pity spot, your stuck spot, get out of your pain, run towards freedom, run towards forgiveness, run towards acceptance, run towards the things that create a peaceful state that you can protect, have, endure. There isn't anything that can hurt you in that state of mind. There isn't anything that can end you or stop you. It's a powerful, powerful lesson to learn the existential piece that we talked about. And you too, I'm rooting for you to find that. Go towards that. Run towards that. You can develop and have and enjoy your peace. All right, Neil.
I think
Brother.
with that part, and I think with based on what Chris said, as Chris and John said, I think they're both very poignant to the point. But I think I would say that you know, Chris, I think yours was good today. I think you get it today because it was very uplifting, very positive. I think that's the I think effort or the energy people need to put towards finding that peace. So I think that was I liked yours, Chris, today.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I say, and I think yours was a little more concrete, Chris. I think that's, and
It's a
I think
powerful
that's
topic,
fucking,
you know. I mean,
yeah,
it really is. We hit hard shows recently, and I love that, John. I appreciate you doing this show with me. You know, it's first of all, it's really nice to have you back. I haven't had a conversation with you for a while. It's just I
yeah,
love talking to my boy John. You know, but yeah, it's a good concept, and I think there's a lot of fear in the world, and yeah, it just came to me as I was listening to you, John. I was like, man, what do we need to say? I'm like, let's
yeah.
we need this is what we need to run towards. You know, so. All right. Well, that is episode 348 in the books, man. It'll be published on Tuesday on Spotify. Tell a friend. Listen, we love doing this show for you. And stay well because we're going to